Hi guys, Ken from Miniature War Gaming Warriors, and today is part 2 of our Stalingrad board build. Today's episode is going to be all about terraforming, shaping the board up to how we're going to get it to look in the end. Firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to be outlining where we're going to be putting stuff on the board. Secondly, we're going to be shaping it with a few different tools. We're going to be using hot wire tools. We're also going to be using blow torches. You could also use a heat gun for this. Again, the hot wire tool is not necessary, but it's a nice little bonus. You could just use a hobby knife. And the third and last thing we're going to be doing today is using sculpt mold. This is going to be really handy for texturing the board and starting to give it shape. So let's crack on. So this is a really straightforward part. All I'm doing is I'm putting the plan that I did in the drawing in the previous episode, link in the top corner now. I'm just transferring it onto the actual board itself. It's to give me an aid and a guide of where I'm going to be doing all the sculpting. So that's the first part done. I've got the basic drawing down onto the board where I'm going to want bits and bobs. Quite happy with what I've done, how it's going to go. So the next part now is to work on the actual terraforming part, which is going to be using the hot wire cutters, also going to be using the blowtorch. I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of how this works with polystyrene and what it actually does. The blowtorch is a really good idea, really works really well. You could also use a heat gun. But let's crack on and I'll show you what to do next. Okay then guys, as you can see now, we've got a certain part of the board. This is the far right hand side board. You can see I've got some trenches just here and here. I've also done a circle there of where I actually want to do an actual proper crater. Got a graveyard possibly down the bottom right here. I've got a waterworks building which is blown out. So first things first, graveyard, I don't mind a bit of terraforming, so that's fine. Also with these trenches and this land here, I don't mind that being terraformed either. The waterworks on the other hand, I don't really want to touch this, or the residential. I want that to stay quite flat because I can do some sculptor mould and bits and bobs like that afterwards just to bring everything together. All I've got, creme brulee, sort of blowtorch. You can pick them up for about, I don't know, 15-20 quid on Amazon. I'll put a link in below for the one that I use. But how this works, refillable. Obviously if you're under 18, don't be doing this without parental supervision. But all we're doing, you can see how quick that melts. So fast. And this is just to give us some rough ground. Right, can you see what that's done already? You know, that's gone nice and solid as well, so that's really firm, but it's given us that uneven texture, which is really nice. So we can go back over that with sculptor mold later and it will sit in the recess and it'll look really sweet. So let's crack on and do a little bit more. Okay, just watch how quick this goes. I don't want it to be too much, but just enough to give the inkling of graves and all that, what we're going to do. You'll see it all come together, but it's looking really nice. But again, this technique again works really well with just a heat gun. You don't need to get one of these, it just works a little bit quicker. Right, so again, probably the easiest way actually to do this. I tried using some of the hot wire cutters here. It just didn't work with this enclosed space. I think it's going to work better once I actually be able to get an angle up. So, easiest way to get this down at the minute, again, is with a blowtorch. Because I'm going to be pouring resin literally onto this. It's not going to need, you know, the whole thing to be melted. I just need to get it lower than what it needs to be. Obviously you want to be doing this in a well ventilated room, goes without saying. Just literally got to be lower than this piece up here. But you can see straight away how easy and quick this is to actually use a blowtorch on this sort of stuff. It's so fast and so simple. That's cushy. For like the rivery part, that's actually quite good. So we'll obviously stick some resin just over the top of this. That will represent the sea. Land, I've got it as sloping up, but I'm not too sure, to be fair. It's one of these things again I'm thinking of on the sly. I could do it, but I don't think there's enough depth per se, so I think what I'll do is I'll just do a couple of little bits and bobs like this. Small melts, nothing too drama-ish. Maybe a crater or two, literally like that. But I think overall that'll do like that, to be fair. I think it looks quite good. We've got the wet, we've got the sea look, but that's solid. But yeah, that's that part done. And yeah, crack on with the actual sculptor mould now. So guys, the actual terraforming side with the blowtorch is finally done. Didn't take too long at all, to be honest with you, probably about 15-20 minutes. So this is including the segment that I've just shown you, the making the part with the Volga River. So it took 15 minutes in total, so it didn't take that long at all. It really wasn't even worth me doing the time lapse for it because it just didn't take any time whatsoever. So the next part is the trenches. These will take a couple of minutes because there's only a few. We're just going to use a blade to cut these out. It's not going to take long at all. Then we're going to make up the sculptor mould. It's going to be a couple of ingredients and you're going to need a drill. I'll show you how to do it. It's really cheap, really simple, but it adds a lot of texture to your board. So let's crack on. Right, so the trench section is pretty straightforward. Got it going from one building here to another building there. So how I'm going to do this, I'm just going to cut down at the angle and then cut down like that, do a V, just get most of it out like that. Just remembering all this is glued still, so once you get in that first part, it's pretty straightforward really. You need to cut the trench so it is wide enough. You just see I've cut along there. You need to cut the trench so it's wide enough so you can get a figure in it with its base. It's pretty straightforward. So like that. Most of that's just going to come out like that. Okay. So you got that technique there. You can use that. Can create a bit of mess, but what you can do after that, come in with my good friend blowtorch. You can see that I like the blowtorch for polystyrene work. Come in and you just see there now, look at that, look at the difference that's made. You can just tell. I'll get a better angle for you. You can see with the blowtorch what it's actually done. If I stick a figure in there, so you can see he's got hard cover there, which is really cool. I like to keep a figure about so I can just test bits and bobs out. So I'm happy with how wide that trench is. If you're enjoying the content, why not consider subscribing? It really goes a long way to helping me and the channel out. We've come a long way in this last year and it'd be really great to have you along with us on this hobby journey. Without further ado, let's get back on with the video. If you're wondering how I make my sculpt mould up, it's really quite straightforward and simple to do. All I do is I get some toilet roll, tissue paper, whatever you want to use. I've got my drill, I've got a wire wall attachment which is about £4 in B&Q, which I'll link in the comment section below. As you can see, I'm holding it. I should really be wearing gloves. I have had it scratch me, but it's not too bad of a scratch, to be fair. And it just creates little flickers of paper and it works really well. Really well. It's quick results and I'm really happy with how it turns out. It's one of those things, it's just a quick hack. You could obviously shred it by hand if you haven't got a drill, it's not a problem, but it will take a little bit longer. So let's crack on with a lovely time lapse. So one of my favourite parts of this whole project was actually getting down and dirty with this sculptor mould. Really makes for a really nice time lapse. It goes on, I'll do this probably for 2 hours maybe. to do the whole board, including all the trimming. But I start off by mixing it up. I'm only mixing little bits at a time, because if you mix in big bits, you know, it dries really quickly. It probably gives you only a couple of minutes playing time with it. So you want to just do loads of little small batches. So you'll see throughout this whole segment that I keep going back and forth, and I just keep making up loads of little bits. This whole project is a massive challenge for me. I've got till the end of April to do it. I'm only doing it on the weekend, so on a Saturday or a Sunday, so it's mainly just Saturdays in all honesty with you. So I was lucky this week to be able to do it on sort of Friday because I had a day off of work. I've never made a board as big as this, and I've only made one board previously, and that was a 4x4. I really do like using this sculpt mold because it does give the board such a good shape, so instead of it being flat. I'd probably say it doesn't take very long for this to dry, probably about half an hour, and it is pretty solid. You do want to leave it, ideally, if you're going to paint over it, probably a good couple of hours, or you want it to be completely dry. So whenever it's completely dry, if you can leave it in the sun, or just to help it dry quicker, that's probably your best bet. But leave it 24 hours just to be on the safe side. And I can't emphasize this enough, I'm really trying to keep it cheap. This whole sculpt mold bit has cost me less than £10 for that 2.5 kilo bag. I've ended up using about 3.5 kilos worth of the plaster, and probably about 4 or 5 toilet rolls, so it's not been too bad overall. If you're really enjoying these videos and content, why not consider heading over to the Facebook and Patreon pages? It really goes a long way to helping me and the channel out, and it allows me to continue to do these videos. In all honesty, when I started this channel, I didn't realise that I'd be doing these massive board builds, but I'm really glad I am now. I'm really enjoying it. I just want to take this time just to thank my subscriber base. I really do appreciate you guys subscribing and tuning in to watch all these videos that I've done. Like I said millions of times, it really does mean the world to me. I didn't expect anybody to be subscribing to any of my videos, and to nearly have 700 people is just absolutely mind-blowing. So just thank you so much. And I really hope I can just keep bringing you content that you guys really love and enjoy. So let's crack on and get on with doing the project. Now I've given it about 45 minutes to an hour to dry. This has gone completely solid now. You can see at the top here that I've got rough edging. It's basically the leftover plaster that's gone over the side. So we want that to be nice and smooth, and the way I do that is use a hobby knife, and I can use a saw as well. And I just go along the top of it with the blade, and it just comes straight off. If you've got any bigger bits, I'd recommend using a hobby saw to get the big chunks off, and then come along with a blade afterwards just to smooth it out. After you've done this step, what you can then do is use a sander, and you can either use a manual, like with a sanding block, or the electric sander, and just go over it just to smooth it out. It makes it 100% nice and smooth, and the boards fit much better together. So now I've finished doing all the sculpt mold and neatening up all the edges. Everything's looking absolutely fantastic. So we've taken the board from back to basics when we started the video, from this to this. I'm so happy with how it's turned out. It's been a labour of love. It's taken me a good few hours to get here, probably about 5 hours in total, not including the packing downtime and stuff in the video because I had to between the days. But I'm so happy with how everything's worked out so far. Okay guys, that's part 2 done. I've got quite a lot done today. It's taken me quite a while, a little bit longer than I expected, to be fair. It's just taken over the 2 days, probably about 6 hours in total, minus clearing up time, which is probably another 2 or 3 to be honest. Part 3, we can look forward to actually getting some materials down. We might build up some layers, so we might get the railway line put down. I'm thinking about maybe starting the buildings in part 4. So part 3 is going to be all about the materials, so the scatter and bits and bobs like that. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments section below what you think. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and see you again very soon.